This is Kayla Moon, and I'm here with Uncle Vern. We're at his family farm right now. We're going to go ahead and talk about the situation with the drought that is occurring. We're going to talk about some solutions. So I want to start off, how much does California and their farming affect the nation as well as the world?
When I was in college, I was really proud to be part of an industry that fed the world. That's what we said we did, and I was part of that. We now, Kayla, don't even feed ourselves. So America's a net food importing country as on a dollar basis. The things we export are typically subsidized grain, and then we import a lot of our vegetables and things that are higher labor.
What do you believe is the importance of agriculture and supporting the agricultural community?
There's nothing more essential. There's no more essential industry than food. You can live without everything else. You can live without oil. You can live without Hollywood. You can live without, you can even live without teachers, but you can't live without food. It's very, very important for a country to retain its sovereignty to be able to feed itself. We've tripled our population in California since the 60s, but we've done nothing to increase our water containment system, our water capturing system, or our water distribution system. It's all way back there from the 60s when we had some visionary leaders that built basically the marvel of the world. The California irrigation system is the marvel of the world. In my case, I'm fourth generation. My kids are fifth, and the grandkids are sixth. So, people who made it through world wars and depression and all kinds of economic upheaval, they made it. They handed it to you. Now you've got the baton, and your job is to get it to the next generation.
If there were to be an agricultural collapse in California, what would that look like?
Well, we see plenty of movies, don't we, where there isn't any food and stuff. Boy, I don't even want to think of that. Surely we're smarter than that, Kayla. Surely we can come together and solve these things. I know there are people, elitists, that think there's too many people on the planet, so some should just die. There's elitists that think we shouldn't be farming. We shouldn't be using irrigation in the San Joaquin Valley, that everything should go back to how it used to be. It's incredible to listen to that line of reasoning. It's just not something I can get my brain around. My whole life and my whole career has been about feeding people, and I think everybody wants to be fed. And indeed, everybody does, but it just seems that the elitists don't share that. They don't feel a connection to every man. What I think we need to have is responsibility. We need responsibility for outcome. So, for instance, if we're going to dump 7 million acre feet to save a fish, then show me the fish. There should be a fish, shouldn't there? If we're dumping, if we put 7 million acre feet into crops, I can tell you how many crops we would produce. I can tell you how many jobs we would create. Lots of ways. And agriculture is always under the microscope because there's so few of us. Farmers are 0.5% of America's population. We have to be very accountable and responsible for how we use resources. Even though we bought and paid for them, they're kind of now considered everybody's. So if that's how it is, that's fine, but everyone should be responsible. every user of these resources should be responsible not for intent, but for outcome. If we're going to hold people accountable for intent, that's a subjective standard. We need objective standards, and people need to be responsible for the outcome of their actions. If 51% of the water is going to the ocean, what's the benefit of that? We feel good, don't we? But if we're doing that to bring back a fish, to bring salmon back up the San Joaquin, which is the one that runs through your town, find me a salmon. They've dumped a bunch of salmon fry in the river. They're not making it back up, you know. These elitists need to be held responsible for the outcome of their action. That's number one. Then number two, we're not dumb people. Californians aren't dumb people. And the technology exists. We talked about that acre foot. For $500, we can desalinate an acre foot of seawater. 80% of Californians live within 50 miles of the ocean. For a fourth the cost of this train we're building, we could produce more water. Farmers would be happy to pay for it. People whose lawns are drying up, you remember that acre foot? That's $40 a month. We don't need to be treated like dogs being thrown bones by these elitists. Here, you peasants, you fight over this because there's only this much. That isn't the way Californians are. That isn't the way Americans are.
Every single human on this planet to survive needs shelter, water, and food. And love. We'll put the love in there too, okay? With the housing crash in 2008, that was people's shelters. You know, that was their homes that they lost. And that was huge. And now, you know, with our huge producer and exporter of our food with a lack of water, do you believe that we could be seeing the crippling of an American empire, whether intentional or just because we're not responding to what is going on here and now?
Yes, I do believe it is intentional. At the top, with those elitists, when you get into their enclave, they want agriculture to stop in California. That is what's coming from their heart. They'll never admit it in public, but I've been in their private groups, and that is how they feel amongst themselves. And these people wield a lot of power. If we ceased to produce our own food, can we recover from that? Yeah, but not like tomorrow. Agriculture's the biggest industry. If we divert production to other parts of the world, you know, how insane is that? How insane is that? What civilized country in the history of the world, Kayla, has ever knowingly destroyed its own food source? Where has that ever happened? And it's never happened before that a civilized country has knowingly destroyed its own food source. And that's what's happening in California right today. Would we recover from it? I don't even want to go there. Surely we're smarter than that. Surely as people start to figure this out and wade through the misinformation, surely people are intelligent enough to say, by golly, we ought to feed ourselves. This is crazy that we wouldn't either take the water we're sending to the ocean in a time of crisis and start growing broccoli with it, or if we don't have the courage to do that, then put a tube in the ocean, build some plants, run them on solar. So now you've got the energy of the sun taking the salt out of the sea, putting that brine right back into the ocean. You can use diffusers and get it out there so it doesn't all just end up in one spot. And create water. If you watch the Israel Project, Israel, Australia, countries with a lot less water than we have are doing it. Israel now has more water than they know what to do with, and they're much drier than we are. So surely we're intelligent enough to work together to hold these elitists accountable for the outcome of their actions. But it's going to take an informed citizenry, so that's why I appreciate what you're doing. People need to have honest truth. And don't just listen to me. Go get your own information, you know. This is just one farmer with mud on his boots talking from his perspective. But it's a pretty well-rounded perspective, and I'm positive what I'm saying would hold in any court, or I wouldn't say it. So we can fix this thing, and we can fix it quickly. When the freeways collapsed in California from the earthquake, they suspended all the environmental laws, suspended everything other than making sure we built freeways back right, and we got them back up in a few months. You know, that would have taken years and years and years under normal conditions. Why do we need to have this scarcity mentality? Our company's named Abundant Harvest Organics, and we have an abundance mentality. So we're only limited by the energy of the sun, our own ingenuity, and the restrictions we place on ourselves. We're an intelligent people. We have options. It's not like we have to invent the option. The options are there. We just need to have the intelligence and the courage to exercise them, and the courage to hold people responsible for the outcome of their actions. That's what I want more than anything, that people be held responsible for the outcome of their actions.
Thank you.